That's right, a great oldie. Happy belated birthday, my sister, Dr. Angela Dramna Boaji. Sexy grandma, eh? Chief Lele Kudolo of the ARC Foundation. I think that was yesterday. And then to my sister Shirley Aqua Harrison, eh? Be blessed, be blessed, be blessed. Do something for me. Right, Ultimate Health on Joy 99.7 FM. Yeah, Thomas Frimpong. That song is about 11 minutes long, eh? Back to business on Ultimate Health. Managing multiple births, twins, triplets, and beyond.
You know it's another OPK classic.
I've got Dr. Michael Macarthy of the Sinel Specialist Family Hospital in the studio with me. Yeah, we've been tracking this, eh? Multiple pregnancies. Went all the way from Komfuanochi, eh? Komfuanochi, who was a twin. We understood the dizygotic, monozygotic. Then last week we talked about the important and significant considerations. The nutrition of the mother, what she eats, weight, all those things. Heightened, should I say, vigilance and monitoring, screening, the medical imaging, ultrasound, all those things. The team involved, the multidisciplinary team that is necessarily involved, especially with such, let me call them high-risk pregnancies, the higher risk of possible complications, higher risk of a premature delivery. You got it all on Joy 99.7 FM Ultimate Health, and I have the gentleman in the studio himself, Dr. Michael Macarthy. You're most welcome.
Hello, thank you so much, Nortey.
My listeners are waiting to exhale. We've gotten to the point where we talked about all of these things. I've tried to wrap up in my long intro, and we're looking at a planned delivery. Yes. Because I think last week we tailed off on the fact that we need to plan. You need to plan with the mother, in fact, the parents to be, with regard to this pregnancy. Let's hit off on that for my listeners, right? This has to be a planned, intentional delivery.
Yes.
You're not taking anything to chance.
No, there must be good planning to know what could be the potential challenges and risks, and to be ready for the eventualities that are unique to twin pregnancies.
Right.
So the planning starts from the mother.
Mm-hmm.
What are her desires? What are her wishes? What are her past experiences? What has been the obstetric history? Has she had a previous cesarean delivery? Has she had a previous normal delivery?
Okay.
And so on. Can we get her blood to be as optimal as possible so she doesn't come in with anemia?
Okay.
Things like that, and to check all the other normal obstetric factors.
Okay.
So that's where the planning starts from.
Right.
And then the other things that we need to think about are, so when do we deliver these babies? And the second question we'll ask is, so what will be the route? Will this be a normal delivery? Will this be a cesarean delivery?
Okay.
So we need to put those two things into our plan, and then where in the hospital should this patient be delivered?
All right. So, Doc, let me ask this question. So we've understood that multiple pregnancies and the subsequent multiple delivery is serious business. Okay, in fact,
yes,
pregnancy and delivery is serious business anyway. It's not as if you guys slack when it is just one baby. But let me ask this question. So, would you typically take on, a woman whose obstetric history you didn't know and hasn't been attending your facility for antenatal, and then she probably say, I want to have my twins or my multiple delivery here, because from what I'm hearing from you, you want to be in full grasp and possession of all the information about this woman, her pregnancy, her history, and all of that. We know sometimes families and mothers shop around. And this is something that I hear quite often. Oh, I've heard of this place. I want to go have my kids there, right? But from what you're suggesting, this is all done consciously and deliberately and meticulously. Can somebody just walk in and say, oh, I'm pregnant. I didn't particularly come to your hospital. I want you guys to deliver.
Or typically, families would not behave that way.
Okay.
Typically, families are very targeted as what they want. They would plan a little bit ahead of time as to where they want to have their delivery.
Okay.
So they would attend the facility they want to.
Okay.
However, sometimes there are emergency reasons why people need to change their facility. They may be in a place that they don't usually attend because of an emergency. They may have traveled out of town. They may have come into town and so on. So obviously there are always those type of situations.
Right.
And one of the principles is that you will not turn away a pregnant woman who is coming to deliver, because it's always a high risk thing. It's always something that could lead to a bad outcome. And so you'd want to offer the best care possible to anybody. But of course, if you come in as an emergency unplanned, then of course, it becomes a challenge, because you need to go into the history, find out what is going on in the past, and so on. Yes.
All right.
You still have to do the same kind of due diligence.
Right. Okay, great. I brought in that point because people, do all sorts of things. And years back, I was doing something with the Ghana Health Service, and I was comparing the numbers of women who attend antenatal and postnatal. And we lose a lot of women once they've given birth. Right, the numbers go down, and it's important to understand some of these things and the challenge they may bring about. So it's good to know that, well, if you've been going for regular antenatal, you planned your pregnancy, it's not accidental. You've got an obstetrician gynecologist who you know and a team that knows you. It is very, very helpful, sometimes even critical. Right, that's why I brought that in. Okay, so we've planned, or we intend to plan this pregnancy. You mentioned the preference of the mother or the parents to be. People typically don't hear these kinds of things in our part of the world. That you have a say in when, how, where, etc. you deliver. Is this some kind of consultation or dialogue that you have? Do I have to give you consent and say that, okay, I have agreed to have my baby under these conditions and so on and so forth? Or is it just a general workup that is expected and rational or logical?
No, I mean, when it comes to pregnancy and delivery, it's a conversation between all the various actors.
Okay.
The father of the child is part of the conversation. The mother of the child is part of the conversation. And then also the caregivers. And so it's a conversation. So it's not that we are waiting, okay, so what do you want? And then we just follow what you want. No.
Okay.
And it's also not that we just say what we are going to do and that's it. There needs to be that dialogue, that communication. It doesn't start in the labor ward.
Okay.
It starts during the antenatal time.
Right.
So let's take, for example, you have a situation where at the beginning of the pregnancy, it becomes obvious that this is going to be a cesarean delivery because of certain factors. Let's say you've had 2 previous cesarean deliveries and you are coming now with twins. And we can start discussing that, look, medically, we are recommending that you would have a cesarean delivery at the end of this, and there is no other way that we would prefer to go. And she may not like it the first time, but maybe given enough time and discussion, she may come to the point where she agrees with you, and there will be no problem.
Right.
And if there is a disagreement, then she can still have time to process it or seek alternatives and so on and so forth. So it must be a conversation, and that is why the antenatal time is a time where we want to also talk to the women, to the fathers and so on. And it's not just a one-way street. It's a two-way street. And of course, if now the woman says, look, but me, this is what I want, and you know that obstetrically this is not what is going to be helpful or safe, you also have time to, show why another path may be better.
Okay, great stuff. If you just joined us, it's 18 minutes past the hour of 2 on Joy 99.7 FM. The program is Ultimate Health, your ultimate guide to healthy living, with me, Nortey by nature. I'm in the process of delivering twins, triplets, or more than that, with Dr. Michael Macarthy of the Sinel Specialist Family Hospital, Tema Community 6. We've been looking at this whole process. We started long ago, but we hope to deliver today. Right?
We'll deliver today.
We'll deliver today. What are the considerations? Okay. Did you ever consider? So when they say one is paying and one is kakra, right? What was the difference in timing? How long can that, should I say, lapse be? Could you deliver paying at 10 o'clock and then deliver kakra maybe 2? or whatever, we'll find out. And what are the considerations? And if it's not just two or twins, it's triplets or quadruplets, and the other plets that I can't pronounce, right? This is what we want to find out so that you understand, and especially if you are aware of these, should I say, conditions, then you team up with your providers to make sure that you get optimum care. Definitely, the pregnancy puts the woman in a vulnerable situation, and want to make sure everything is optimum. If you have any questions, concerns, 055 11 11 997, Ultimate Health on Joy 99.7 FM. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. I have Dr. Macarthy with me in the studio. So, Doc, coming back. So, well, so far so good. The whole build-up has been okay.
Yes.
So the planning, probably you mentioned, would specify where you will deliver, whether you are going to deliver preterm before the
timing. So that's what we call the timing of delivery.
Timing, location.
Yes.
Right.
The timing of the delivery. So
Right.
you need to decide. So at which gestational age do you want to deliver the twins or the triplets?
Okay.
If you are dealing with, to make it simple, let's start with twins.
All right.
If you are delivering twins that are coming as two separate placentae,
Okay.
then you deliver them at 38 weeks.
Right.
That is the timing.
Okay.
If you are dealing with a situation where you have one placenta, so these are the monochorionic twins,
Right.
but they are in two different sacs, that's the diamniotic, and you deliver them at 36 weeks. The others, you have to deliver them earlier. For example, those that are having one placenta
Right.
and one sac, those are the monochorionic and monoamniotic ones.
True.
The problem with that set, which also includes conjoined twins, is that they have a higher rate of mortality
Okay.
during the pregnancy and also at delivery.
Right.
And more so during the pregnancy, mainly because of entanglement of their umbilical cords.
Okay.
And that
Well-
can be a serious problem, because if they entangle and they knot up, then blood flow stops.
Right.
And so immediately something happens. So
Okay.
those ones must be delivered
Right.
even before that.
Okay.
time.
So these are determining factors, right?
Yes.
But let me ask, Doc, just for clarity for my listeners, you mentioned those sharing one placenta.
Yes.
Right. Okay. The placenta is the end point of the umbilical cord. Oh,
Yes.
yeah. So you can have twins that share one umbilical cord. Is that right? No.
No.
One
So
placenta.
they'll have one placenta, but
Right.
each has its own umbilical cord
Aha.
from the placenta.
Right. Okay. So then you can have those that have, you mentioned sharing one placenta and then having separate placenta.
Separate sacs.
Right. No, before we get to the sacs.
Yes.
Okay. Separate placenta. Oh,
Yeah, so you can have those that have, each has its own placenta, its function, its own placenta, its own sac, and it's completely separate from the other one.
Okay. Right. And they can be in the same sac.
They could be in the same sac.
And in the
also.
same sac, you can have two and upwards. Or
Well, I have not seen triplets in one sac.
okie dokie.
That I have not seen.
Right. So you can have twins in one sac.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Maybe theoretically you could have triplets in one sac. But I
Okay.
think that would be extremely challenging.
Extraordinary and
That would be
challenging.
extremely extraordinary.
Okay, great.
Yes.
We've understood the connections and the USB cables and all that. But if they are twisted, knotted, and so on and so forth, these are things you want to address and have a handle on before, and it will inform when you want
As
to
to
deliver.
when you want to deliver them, yes, because otherwise you wait too long,
Okay.
and then you get the complications that you could have avoided.
Okay.
And so you need to understand, and that is why at the beginning we always want to know, okay, so how many placenta do I have?
Right.
How many sacs do I have?
Okay.
What is the connection between the two?
Right.
And that then tells you when you need to deliver.
Okay.
So you will not let them go to 38 weeks
Mm-hmm.
if you know that they are sharing their placenta,
Okay.
because you may have more incidents of the twin transfusion and things like that. And so you want to deliver those ones earlier.
Okay, great stuff. This underscores and emphasizes the heightened monitoring we talked about, right?
Yes.
What is the state of these twins? Are they sharing a placenta? Are they monoamniotic or whatever? All those things are important in determining what is going to happen, how it's going
The
to happen,
timing,
and
the
the
timing,
timing.
the timing,
right?
yes.
And your
Yes.
doctor and your team need to be on top of these things to make these important,
Yes.
critical decisions.
Yes. The other thing about time, so if there are other problems
Right.
happening in the pregnancy,
Okay.
then obviously the time will change.
Okay.
So here we are talking about everything going well until that time.
Right.
Then that's when you deliver. But if there are other problems happening, let's take for instance, you are having one twin growing much bigger than the other and the other one smaller, then you may have to deliver earlier.
Okay.
Even though you planned, oh, this is going to be at 36 weeks in your plan, but you realize at 34 weeks that one is 20% bigger than the other,
Right.
or more, you may need to deliver at that point rather than waiting for 36 weeks.
Okie dokie.
So we have just timing by placentation, and then obviously timing also by events and other issues that
Right.
are coming on during the monitoring.
Okie dokie. 25 minutes past your hour 2. I am getting more and more interested, but more and more overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of information that must be processed, that must inform the decisions. If you have any questions or concerns, 055 11 11 997. We're live on Facebook and YouTube. This is Ultimate Health on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Nortey by Nature. I'm in the studio with a consultant obstetrician gynecologist, Dr. Michael Macarthy. And hey, I'm always validated when I bring him in because, I can read and read and read and read and read, but I'll get my umbilical cords and other things knotted and twisted. He kind of disentangles everything and makes it so easy for you to digest. But your questions are most welcome. Shortly, I'll activate the phone lines. Okay. So we've talked about this, and then when one is growing faster or whatever, bigger or whatever than the other or than the others, isn't there anything we can do to kind of level the league table? You don't intervene, or there are considerations there?
Oh, I think that is a bit challenging because it may be with the blood flow that is happening.
Okay.
I mean, they've talked about going to, ablate the vessels or close up those vessels. That could be done, but that becomes at a much higher level.
So you accept those as God-given differences between the fetuses that are
Yes, but then you have to monitor them.
You monitor them.
Yes, you have to monitor them because especially the one that is growing more may be receiving too much blood flow, and so that may be at risk, and there may be risk of much increased amniotic fluid, and that can lead to increased distension and pushing the other one away.
Okay.
So one of the simple things that could be done, but that doesn't solve the problem, is to reduce the fluid on one side.
Okay.
But those are very
Technical.
challenging
Right.
areas to be in.
Right.
And addressing that type of difference can be very challenging.
Okay.
And so one of the ways to do it is to actually deliver them earlier than the planned time.
Okay. Great stuff. If you have questions, concerns, experiences, share them with us. We're live on Facebook and YouTube, and WhatsApp is 055 11 11 997. Managing multiple births, twins, triplets, and beyond. With me, Nortey by Nature, on Ultimate Health with Dr. Michael Macarthy. But Doc, you've mentioned these critical considerations, all right, with regard to the fetuses that are being carried. Do any of these things you mentioned before we move forward have any impact, or could they endanger the life of the mother, or generally her well-being, right? If the umbilical cords are twisted, intertwined, entangled, knotted, whatever, or if there's sharing of placenta and so on and so forth, does it impact on the mother?
Yes, it does impact on the mother, because it changes the course of the pregnancy. So let's say, for instance, if everything goes well, there are no challenges, and we get to the end, have a normal delivery of the twins, that's the simplest way to go.
Right.
But if we start getting complications and we have to deliver by an emergency cesarean section,
right,
and we get excessive bleeding and so on, that is a worse, let me say, a worse outcome for the mom as compared to having that normal delivery with less blood loss.
Okay.
So in that way, yes. But in what actually happens to the fetuses, they will not have a direct effect on what is going on with the mother. But remember that these two, the pregnancy, the baby, and the mom. It's a unit, intertwined unit.
You can't separate them.
Yes. So what's going on? There is that effect on each side.
Okay.
Yes.
Great stuff. And can I assume or presume, Doc, that so far in our discussion and all things being equal, this mother, after all the antenatal checks and monitoring and so on and so forth, will be going home. She's not on admission on account of any of these things.
Well, yeah, generally you are managing these pregnancies out of hospital.
Right.
Occasionally you may need to admit, especially if there is a higher need for monitoring, like especially in the situation where they are both in one sack.
Okay.
You may actually have to admit them quite early.
Okay.
30 weeks and so on, to be able to monitor the two, because you can't do much about the cord entanglement. Right. It's continuous monitoring, 3 or 4 times a day monitoring. That becomes very challenging.
All right.
And of course, if there are other problems like cervical incompetence, hypertension, and so on, you may have to admit on account of that. But we don't just admit because it's a multiple pregnancy.
All right.
Sometimes, however, you get triplets or twins, very large and so on, and the mother is really not comfortable, and so you may have to admit based on that as well.
Oh, great stuff. Hey, 2:30 and we're still getting to delivery. But Doc, let me ask this. So you just mentioned cervical
incompetence, yes.
Incompetence, not incontinence. Right. So that the cervix is supposed to hold up the pregnancy.
Up the pregnancy.
Right. Can you just quickly explain that for listeners?
Yes. So the cervix is the lower part of the uterus, which is supposed to remain closed to keep the pregnancy in. And at delivery, this cervix softens up and opens, and allows the baby to come through. So one part of the body that has 2 functions, and the function has to change at a certain point to allow the babies to come out. If this change occurs much earlier, let's say at 20 weeks.
So the gate is open
at 20 weeks.
Or week.
Then there's a problem.
Right.
Because then the babies are coming out at that time, which is too early. And so we will call such a cervix that is dilating.
Okay.
If that occurs, then we can call that a cervical incompetence.
Okay, right.
With certain criteria.
Okay, we do that on Ultimate Health. There's nothing we will not break down to your level. It sounds like big cervical incompetence. And Charlie, if the gate is open, then whatever you are carrying in 2s and 3s and beyond, it's going to drop.
Can be a problem, yes.
It will download by itself.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And therefore, they have to intervene to make sure that the gate is shut or not open prematurely or too early.
Yes.
That's what we're talking about.
Exactly.
Great stuff. Let me just see if I can read out a couple of stuff and then we can proceed and deliver. This one says, doctor's voice sounds like Lex's Bill.
I'm flattered. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's nice.
All right. Doc says he's flattened. Okay, I've gone and clicked something. I mean, give me my screen back here. I've clicked something. Right? But he says your voice sounds like Lex's Bill. Maybe you're twins we didn't know about.
Lovely,
right?
lovely.
Okay, so again, we've explained that for you to understand. Right. What about the position or the presentation of these twins? We hear about breech coming with your head, vertical, transverse, and so on and so forth. All right. Like playing with pieces on a draft board. Are you able to move them around and get them to your preferred position, or is this also a critical indicator?
All right, so this is a very important part.
Right.
So initially I said the first thing was the time as to, so when will I deliver these twins? And the second one is exactly what you mentioned right now. So how am I going to deliver these twins? Are we going to have a cesarean delivery? Are we going to have a normal delivery? What's going to happen in terms of route of delivery?
Okay.
And route of delivery is determined by how the babies are presenting and lying in the uterus.
Okay.
So maybe we just describe that a little bit. So you could have the baby lying with the head down.
Okay.
And we call that a cephalic presentation. So if it is straight, then it's a longitudinal lie with a cephalic presentation. Cephalic being the head.
The head.
And then the bottom part of the baby is called the breech.
Breech.
So it could be a cephalic presentation or it could be a breech presentation.
Okay.
All right. So now, if you have both twins with cephalic presentation, then hooray.
Both coming head first is good news.
It's good news.
It's good news.
Both are pointing down.
All right.
Both have a cephalic presentation, head down. That is nice. So those ones you're going to say, okay, let's try a normal delivery if all other things are equal.
Why is that nice?
Yes, because you can have a normal delivery. And a normal delivery has less complications than cesarean delivery. It's not a surgery, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
So prefer a normal delivery.
All right, I understand that part, but why is head first a good thing and not the other way around? If I come with my feet, why is it bad?
Right. So the problem with breech delivery is that the breech is smaller than the head in diameter.
Okay.
Okay. So if your feet are coming out, your feet are also much smaller than
there'll be
the
a
head.
small-
So your feet can come out.
Of a smaller opening.
Yes,
Right.
and the bottom, the breech can also come out, and then you deliver up to the shoulders, and then you may even get to deliver the shoulders, and then the head gets stuck.
Wow.
So that is a problem. But if you come with the head, which is the biggest part,
Right.
You are more. So once that comes out, the rest of the body is also coming out.
Okay.
You see, so you prefer to have a cephalic presentation because that delivery is safer in terms of the fact that once the head comes out, the rest of the body is more likely to come. Whereas if you have the breech coming first, you may have the problem of entrapment of the head that is coming afterwards,
Okay.
or difficulty in delivering the head.
Right.
And therefore, the baby comes out with challenges because there may not have been enough oxygenation, the delivery may have been too long,
Right.
and there may have been some lack of oxygen. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So is it normal, or should I say typical, for, let's say, you to get the two coming head first, or is it more likely that one will have their feet up? And we see the pictures and we see the different positions, right? And do they move around? Is it that when you sight the pregnancy and you watch it grow, they stay in the same positions, or do they really? And we know they kick and all that kind of stuff, but do they move around? Can they change positions?
Yeah, they move around.
I'm coming with my head, and then suddenly you see.
Yeah, they move around. They move around. They move around.
Okay.
Especially in the time that is not very close to delivery.
All right.
When they
have space
they are
to mess
relatively
around.
smaller and the fluid is relatively more.
Okay.
Oh, they are all over. They can turn in any direction they want to. Usually when you get to 34, 36 weeks, whatever presentation it is at that time is very likely to actually maintain.
Right.
But even if both are head down and you deliver the first one, the second one may end up turning a different direction.
Oh.
But that is not very common. Maybe 5 to 10% of the time. Not a very common occurrence.
So,
but even at that point,
okay,
things can turn. In fact, sometimes you see a patient and you say, "Oh, okay, this is a breech presentation. This will be our mode of delivery." And by the time you are going to deliver, you realize that it has changed.
Wow.
So it can even change at the end. Yes.
Right. 37 minutes past the hour of 2 on Joy 99.7 FM. The program is Ultimate Health. I'm trying to get my WhatsApp screen back. We're talking to Dr. Michael Macarthy of the Sinel Specialist Hospital, Tema Community 6. We are in the process of delivering. If you joined us, please scrub up and wear all your scrubs and everything, and make sure you're ready to catch a baby. We don't know how and when they'll come. We've planned it, but we're hoping it will stay according to plan. But these are very important pieces of information and phenomena that we're discussing, right? So Doc is telling us that you can deliver the first twin, and then the second one, or the second one and the third one decide to do a little agbaja or dance about a bit, and it has implications for what you're doing next and how you're doing it, and so on and so forth. So we're going into that detail. Phone line 030-221-6541, 030-221-6541. You can ask Doc your questions or share your experience. We're on Facebook and YouTube live streaming, and our WhatsApp is 055-11-11-997. I'm trying to pull that up. It's gone deeper into the amniotic sac, but it will come back. Right, so any questions on that are most welcome. Ultimate Health on Joy 99.7 FM with me, Nortey by nature, and I do not sound like Lexus Bill. Thankfully, right? But Doc is on it. All right. But you dance better than Lexus, I hope. Yeah? So, Doc, so we've got this situation. Hopefully, everything is known to the team, right? We mentioned the need to have maybe an anesthetist and all the other things, all the specialists around to help with this delivery. Okay. So, you're saying to us, and you're giving us information that, well, if you've planned to do the delivery normally, that's vaginal delivery, right?
Yes.
Does that mean that you are planning to have all of these come out normally.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So your route of delivery could be a vaginal delivery, which is a normal delivery, or could be a planned. And when we say planned, we mean elective. Or when we say elective, we mean planned.
Right.
It could be an elective or planned.
You elected
cesarean. Yes,
right.
it's planned.
Right.
We know we are going to have a CS delivery.
Okay.
Versus an emergency where we didn't plan to have
Right.
a cesarean delivery.
Okay.
So your plan is, if both babies are cephalic, head
Head first,
is that both are head down, we can go for a normal delivery.
Okay.
If and this normal delivery could be spontaneous normal delivery or could be induction of labor normal
All
delivery,
right.
depending on what
We can induce labor
yes
based on the considerations we talked about
yes.
as well. Okay.
So here we're talking about route. We're not talking about timing. I think we've
Okay.
dealt with timing.
Yeah.
So now route. Then if the first twin is, however, breech, then we are going for a cesarean delivery.
You would not do a breach, or you would not want to do a breach.
Yes. So in that case, you have planned for a CS delivery.
All right.
If you have a situation where the first one is cephalic and the second one is something else, you could decide to have a normal delivery,
Right.
and then depending on what happens to the second one, you would have to work on that to get that baby out as well. If at the end of the delivery of the first one, the second one proves to be cephalic as well, or has turned at the time to become cephalic,
Okay.
then you go ahead and have another a vaginal delivery. If you then have a breech or a transverse lie, you'd have to turn the baby to the desired position.
Who's doing this turning? You.
The obstetrician, yes.
All right.
You'd have to turn the baby to the desired position.
You slap the
for-
tummy around,
for
or
delivery.
You put your hands in there. Or what?
Yeah.
Tell
so,
us, Doc.
So,
Tell
so
us.
there are two different ways of
Right,
doing that. You
okay.
have what we call internal podalic version,
Okay.
where you are turning the baby for the bottom part of the breech to come out,
Okay.
or external cephalic version, where you are turning the baby to become head down
Right.
externally.
Right.
So that's where you
can
are
manipulate.
you're manipulating on the abdomen, push the baby around a
Right.
little bit, for the head to come down.
See the way I'm looking at your hands.
Yes, the hands are moving.
Oh, my
they are doing that. And then if it's internal podalic version,
Right.
that becomes very interesting because you are doing that through the open cervix, because the cervix is already open.
Wow.
And then you can turn the baby internally. And
Without cutting the woman open, you're not.
no,
That's not a
this
cesarean
is
at
not.
all.
We are not talking about cesarean delivery
Wow.
yet. This is
And
the vaginal delivery.
With the babies in there, your hands are in there.
Yes,
You're
to
literally
be able to
laying
be able
hands.
to bring
Right.
the laying on of hands, right?
Right. Wow.
bringing the bottom part or the breech part of the baby
Mm-hmm.
down and delivering that way. Of course, you have to plan for this.
Okay.
And so if the patient has a previous cesarean delivery, you're not going to do that. If the baby that's coming is too big, because you need to also plan. You need to understand how big your babies are.
Exactly.
Is this baby that big that you need a cesarean delivery straight away?
Okay.
Or is this baby so small, maybe less than 1.5, 1.8 kilograms? You don't want to create too much physical movement of this
Trauma
baby.
for the baby.
Yes, so
Right.
you have to plan that a little
Okay.
bit. Or if there's a big difference between the size of the babies, maybe the first one is that small and the second one is 20% bigger. Then the first one comes out and the cervix is only that dilated.
Okay.
And so when you are trying to deliver the second one, which is much bigger, then that can become a problem because you are not dilating your cervix anymore. You're
Right.
using the dilatation that delivered the first one.
Wow.
So it becomes challenging.
Whew. 43 minutes past the hour 2. The babies are still in there. Several people think you are Lexis Bill's twin. Wow, I also thought it was Lexis Bill. Really? Seriously? This one says, good afternoon and thanks for such an insightful program. My question is, can someone have multiple intramural myoma with a larger size of 4.6 centimeters and still carry pregnancy to term? Is that reference to fibroid?
Yes,
growth?
I think he's
Yeah.
talking about fibroids.
Yeah.
Yes, you can carry your pregnancy to term with fibroids of 4.6 centimeters. The thing about medicine is that most of the questions are answered with yes, because everything is possible.
Right.
And so sometimes we can have some more scenario around the
Okay.
question to understand what the person is actually
Right.
trying to ask.
So I have a fibroid in there, and I have the babies in there.
You can get to term,
Right,
but the
so-
fibroids could cause preterm delivery, cause preterm contractions and
All right.
so on,
Okay.
which may then prevent this scenario that he has talked about.
Okay,
And
great stuff.
and of course, in the scenario of twins, fibroids can then complicate the matter because they will change the position of the babies. You may not get the two cephalic presentations.
All right.
And it may be difficult to do these manipulations that we've talked about of the
Okay.
internal cephalic
Because you got fibroid in there as well.
Or yes, and that
Okay.
that gets in the
Great
way.
stuff. Listeners, please do add your names to these WhatsApp questions. I can see Dede typing. Good day, Nortey and guests. Kindly ask Doc if it is good when delivery and the baby is coming out with the legs or instead of the head, and can fibroid let you bleed unnecessarily and give you low blood? Have a blessed day from Sarah Manful in Winneba. Right. So we've talked about the presentation, right? She was comparing breech with cephalic, and then she's asking if the fibroid can cause unnecessary bleeding and lead to anemia.
Yes.
Yeah?
Fibroids do exactly what she says,
Okay.
bleeding and then anemia. Yes, and it's not the preferable mode of delivery when the breech is presenting, but she actually said when the leg comes out. Now, when the
Right.
leg comes out, then we go for cesarean delivery.
All right.
Because the leg is so much smaller than the rest of
All
the
right.
body. So the leg comes out, and how is the rest going to come out? It becomes
right.
a problem.
Okay, great stuff. This is from Dede, Maryland. IVF. Is there a limit on how many embryos can be implanted at a time? And is it a worldwide or country by country standard or limit, right? In terms of how many embryos you can implant when you do IVF. I'm sure you've heard of the Nadia Suleimana, nicknamed Octomom, who had 8 kids through IVF and caused brouhaha about ethics of the trade, right? This is from Dede. So, yeah, is there a limit? Is there anything preventing you from putting 16 and hoping that you get 4 out, and so on and so forth?
No, you want to avoid. You see, the whole issue about working with a couple to go through IVF is to get a live birth at the end of the day.
Live,
Live
viable,
birth.
safe.
Yes, you want
Right.
to take your baby home. That's the goal. That's actually the goal of the couple that's come. The couple
Right.
is not interested in getting
You're
pregnant.
not
The-
interested in
the-
setting records.
the couple is interested generally in carrying home a baby. That's
Right.
really the issue. And
Okay.
from medical point of view, we are also looking at how can we reduce complications, how can we reduce problems.
Right.
And so the goal is to achieve a pregnancy that has the highest chance of success in terms of carrying home a live healthy
Okay.
baby, and that is a single pregnancy.
Right.
So that's your goal.
Right.
That's what you want to aim at. So
Okay.
you're not aiming at putting in 8, 10 or whatever. That's not what we do. That's
Right.
not what we do.
Okay.
We are looking at getting one. Yes, you may transfer 2 embryos, depending on how the embryos look like, what's the quality,
All right.
what's the history of the woman, and what is going on, and so on.
Okay.
Because sometimes you may put in 2, but you still get 1. And the fact that you've put in 2 doesn't mean you get twins,
Right.
and so on. And so you would want to work around that and see how you can get something safe. Worldwide, she was asking whether it's country by country.
Right.
Yes, definitely, there are different things in different countries. But for worldwide, the trend is towards single embryo transfer.
Right.
But
Okay. Preferred.
but there are different things happening in different countries. As
Yeah.
we try to reach that point where you can say, okay, we do a single embryo transfer, and we are likely to succeed.
Okay, great stuff. Good afternoon, please. Do you do IVF? If yes, can 2 partners with genotype AC and AS go through IVF in order to avoid having a child with sickle cell?
Yeah, so this is a big problem, the ACAS and the ASAS couple. And so they would have IVF, and then the embryo is tested
Okay.
before embryo transfer is done back into the womb to pick out the ones that have 2 abnormal genes and carry the ones that have either just one abnormal gene or two normal ones.
All right, great stuff. Good afternoon, Nortey. Please ask the doctor. You guys don't want me to deliver, right? Please ask the doctor if they determine that one baby is growing more than the other or bigger than the other when they are delivered. Are both able to survive 100%? I think it says are both survive 100%.
Yes, so this is a challenge. We obviously cannot guarantee 100% survival of anything. But I think the import of the question is clear. What's the significance of them not growing equally?
Right.
We know that generally twins may not be exactly the same. You know, there may be some difference between them. They're also individuals. But when the difference is large, more than 20% or more, then that's cause for concern. Of course, when you're getting to 10, 15%, you are going to start monitoring more. But when you now get more than 20% difference, then you need to consider whether you want to deliver. Because of the question he asked, can I get as best a survival as possible?
Right.
And so you may want to deliver earlier before this situation gets too far out of hand, and therefore reduce survival of especially the bigger one. Yeah.
Great. Phone line still active, 030-221-6541. You can ask the questions directly yourself of Dr. Michael Macarthy of the Sinel Specialist Hospital in Tema Community 6. We're still talking about managing multiple births, twins, triplets, and beyond. And wow, I have multiple births on my WhatsApp happening. I have about 10 minutes to deliver. Okay, it's 9 now with Doc Macarthy. I don't know whether what we're delivering is breech or cephalic, but I've got the doc and the obstetrician consultant in the studio, and we're going to try and do that. Okay, so you've got one of them out. You've talked about the timing. You've talked about the route. Okay, what about the time interval between the fetuses or the babies, right? What controls or determines that? You've got one out. Hopefully everything is okay. You've handed them over to whoever you're supposed to hand them over, but there's still babies in there. Is there anything that determines when you bring that, or do you just go straight to the next one and pull that one out?
No, so it depends on a number of factors. So let's take the scenario where you've delivered your first one, it's no problem.
Right.
2 different placentas happening in there. You've determined that already. First one has come out. Usually that placenta will not come out at that point yet. And the second baby is also cephalic. Usually what happens after the first delivery is that the uterus kind of goes a bit quiet, or you don't get as many contractions happening for a short period of time before the uterus may pick up again.
Right.
So that's the time when you'd assess the situation. How is the heart rate of this baby doing? How is the baby lying? Are the membranes still intact? How far down has the baby already come? And so on. And give a little bit of time, a few minutes, do that assessment. And then decide, are we going to have a second normal delivery, or do we need to go on to have a cesarean delivery? So if you decide, this will be a normal delivery, then we will put on the drips to get the contractions to restart. And hopefully this baby also starts coming down and is delivered.
Right.
If you have a situation where along this path there's fetal distress, the placenta starts to separate, she starts to bleed, things are not going the way it should go, then you have to do immediate delivery.
Right.
Could be by a vacuum extraction, could be by another form of instrumental delivery, or at this point you may want to go for cesarean delivery. Maybe the cord has come out at that point as well, and so on. So you may need to rush out for cesarean delivery. Or now you've delivered your first one, and then you examine the second one, which used to be cephalic, is now breech or is transverse.
Whoa.
You now need to decide, so what do I do at this point? At this point, you also go through this scenario of analysis, but then you need to take an earlier decision on how to deliver. You can decide to go, now I'm no more having a cephalic second twin, so I'm going for cesarean delivery. That could be a decision. Or you could say that, well, I have a baby that is capable of coming via breech, and that is where you can do your internal podalic version and breech delivery, or your external cephalic version and cephalic delivery. And so, but those ones must occur at that time, because you need your cervix to be open. If you leave your cervix for too long after delivery of the first one, it will start to close up again. and then that becomes a problem. So you want to do that immediately. You're not going to wait, because if you wait, the cervix will close up.
Okay.
And of course, you don't also give the strong medications to cause contraction of the uterus, because then you're not going to get your baby out, the second one out. The situation where you have to have a cesarean delivery after the first one has come normally can occur if there are problems along this pathway I've just described. Yeah.
Right. Okay. I've got multiple, I don't know whether they are fetuses or call them embryos in my WhatsApp, but let me see what I can do. Good afternoon, Nortey, and hello to Doc. This is Oye in Afenya. Oye, you're late to class, but you're most welcome. Secondly, this one says, good afternoon, ask the doctor if they determine one baby. Okay, we read that. Secondly, if they determine one is head down and the other is different, can they turn? We've answered that. This is from Hayford in Batok.
No, so let me clarify this. So you cannot do the turning of the baby during if both are still inside the uterus.
Okay. You can't.
Okay, so he's asking, I think what he's asking is whether you can turn the baby if the first one is head down and the second one is not head down. Can you turn the second one also to become head down so they can have a normal delivery?
Right.
The answer is no.
No. Okay.
Okay. It is after you've delivered the first one, then you can start to work on the second one.
Okay. Great stuff.
In that case, yes.
Okay, in that case, and all that time you're critically monitoring all the embryos to make sure they are doing well.
Yes.
All right. This is serious business. I heard at a point in Ghana, women were opting for cesarean, that's a C-section delivery instead of natural birth, although there's no complication. Reason being to avoid natural birth pains. Is this ethical? So can you, for your own preferences, decide that I want to have a CS and your doctor will go along with you? That's what they did suggested.
There is the criteria of cesarean by maternal request.
Okay.
There may be some really tenable reasons, and that is why I said that we have the discussion between the healthcare workers and the clients as well.
All right.
To understand their birth plan.
Okie dokie. Please ask Doc for me. I'm struggling to have a baby. Nowadays, there are so many low sperm count drugs on the market. Not to advertise any product, but can you ask Doc for me the best home remedy for low sperm count? Okie dokie.
Home remedy for low sperm count can be diet, healthy diet, avoiding alcohol, avoiding smoking, increasing vegetables like carrots and cucumber, and that can help.
Not Atadwe milk.
I don't know whether that helps with the low sperm count, but it probably does work with libido, I understand. But definitely, if the low sperm count is persistent and is a problem, I think the couple needs to seek expert help with a urologist. Yes,
Great
I think
stuff.
so. Yeah.
Okay, there's a difference between potency, right, and fertility. Okay, when they say African warrior, wisdom, power, and all those things, we are talking about potency. Fertility is another different area. Doc and I will be getting there with some other, should I say, colleagues in the field, and we'll get there, right? But Doc, so we have 3 minutes, a couple of babies out. We've given us the factors. So can you have a delay of as much as 1 hour, 2 hours between deliveries?
Yes, you could.
Of multiple...
You could have some delay between the two,
right?
An hour or two, but you don't want that delay to be too long.
Okay.
Because then you may start getting complications of the delivery of the second one. The placenta may separate.
Okay.
The cervix may close up and so on. But if you are monitoring the baby and the baby is doing well, okay, then maybe you're a bit confident to wait a little. But it depends on your plan. So you'd wait if the second one is also coming with the head down.
Okay.
Or it's also cephalic. That's the only situation where you would say, okay, well, we probably are going to get a second normal delivery, so let's wait a bit.
Okay.
So that's the only time. But if you're going to do your version and your turning of the baby in the womb and so on, you're not going to wait.
Okay. You don't have time on hand.
No, you can't wait. Well, if you wait, you're not going to be able to get the baby.
So in a situation where you said, well, you're going to check, has this other one or the next one, has it descended satisfactorily or whatever and so on and so forth, does that mean you're not in control of its descent or the labor and the contractions? I know you can induce contractions, but if it hasn't descended, do you have, should I say, the power to intervene, or do you have to wait for it to happen naturally?
Yes, you can intervene. why is the baby not descending?
Okay.
At this point, it's usually because the contractions are not adequate.
Okay.
So if the contractions are not adequate, then you will have to increase contractions. And so you can put on medication in a drip form that will then stimulate contractions, and that will help with the descent.
All right.
The challenge, if the baby's head is very far up, is that the membranes may rupture and the umbilical cord may come out.
Right.
And if the umbilical cord comes out first, and remember that's where the baby is getting all its oxygen from. So if the umbilical cord is delivered first, then that is recipe for disaster. You may need to go straight for cesarean delivery.
Okay.
At that point.
Right. Are these babies so delivered? By the hand of God, of course, by the hand of Dr. Macarthy and others like him. Somebody says your guest is so well versed for somebody who looks down there all the time. She likes what you're saying, but she's added that I shouldn't read it, so I've left her name out. But that's why I bring him each time we're doing some of these things. But yeah, so all of these, would they require intensive care, resuscitation, or other things, neonatal, intensive care units, and so on and so forth?
Yes, so the whole aim of all these things, and why you are saying when and what route and how, the whole idea is to get your babies as healthy as possible.
Okay.
So that's the whole thing that we are trying to achieve here.
Right.
As for delivery, the babies will come out in one way or the other at one point, but in what condition will these babies be?
Right.
So all these things we have talked about from the weeks back to now.
Okay.
Is how can we get healthy babies at the end of the day?
Right.
And so we are trying to minimize the problems at delivery, minimize the problems that the babies will have afterwards. But still, there are those complications at a higher rate. And so you would want the pediatric doctors to be available.
Right.
You would want to have the monitors, the resuscitation of the babies when they come out. Especially in internal podalic version or delivery by a breech may have a worse outcome. And so you'd want to be sure that you have experienced people to resuscitate the babies at that point. And of course, that's a procedure you only do if you know how to do it and you're well versed with it. So you also have to decide what you can accomplish, in the plan that you are planning.
Okay.
If you have the situation where the babies are coming premature, like in those where maybe they are both together with one placenta, you are delivering at 36 weeks, then you have more risk of going to the neonatal intensive care.
Right.
Of course, the triplets, which may become may come earlier and much smaller, they may also end up in the intensive care unit. And obviously, if you are delivering your baby planned at 32 weeks because it's in one sack with the other baby and there are problems, again, you have your NICU that needs to work.
Wow, I mean, this is just amazing. But I guess it's a wonderful education for our listeners, and we're so glad you're able to share, your skill and expertise and experience with us for the betterment of everybody. But let me just ask this: we've already crossed 3 o'clock, but let me just ask this: so those being managed by midwives, traditional birth attendants, and things. The kind of things we're talking about. I mean, I'm sure people do deliver twins outside health facilities, but a word in that regard. I mean, if you're at a maternity home and this is the nature of the pregnancy and all this has been monitored through antenatal and so on and so forth, but you're still going to deliver there and so on and so forth. A word to that, Doc, as we wrap up.
Well, we need to understand that twins are much more complicated than singleton pregnancies.
Right.
And as we said earlier, the midwife can manage, but needs to manage this with the other members of the team.
Okay.
And definitely for when it comes to delivery, we must be very close to the operating theater.
Okay.
And so this is not going to be delivered at home or delivered in a place where there's no operating theater.
Okay.
And so you need to be able to move from the delivery suite to the operating theater in a very short. You need to be ready for that.
Ready for all the eventualities.
Because so many things could happen, as we've discussed, between the delivery of the first and delivery of the second.
Gee, Charlie, folks, this has been awesome, and many thanks once again to Dr. Michael Macarthy of the Sinel Specialist Hospital in Tema. We've done 3 weeks of this. The first we did a session on twins as part of Ghana Month, and then we decided that we'll go into labor. will carry the pregnancy and go into labor, and he's been kind enough to share his Sunday afternoons with us. There's a lot more we have to do. Dr. Macarthy and I are also part of the Fertility Society of Ghana. So all the practitioners and all the assisted reproductive strategies and technologies that are available, we'll get to talk about them downstream this quarter that we've gotten into, and we'll look at those again. Many thanks, Dr. Macarthy. And,
welcome.
Salutes to all your folks at Sinel.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
for
you got to come
recognizing
there
us.
because I know now you have a spa and all those kind of things that you,
Yes.
you do. The funky things that they do, and they're a very sexy, funky hospital down there in Tema. Many thanks to my producer extraordinaire. No, I look at his stomach. He's not carrying anything, but if he does carry anything, I can assure you that Dr. Macarthy and I will categorize him as a high risk.
A high risk man.
Interesting, Doc. Maybe I'll yank you back one of these days. I was reading something about transgender and pregnancy. It was a big issue, but I don't want trouble yet. Let me read small. Take and stay on Joy 99.7 FM. My name is Nortey by nature. Produced by Abeku Sankofe. Second stay on Joy 99.7